Hello and welcome to the Rainy Night Listens podcast. I'm Haley.
And I'm Wyatt, and this is the podcast that you save for a rainy night instead of a rainy day. Alright, today I am bringing up SCP-3000. Do you know anything about this man?
I don't.
You saw the pictures
I
already.
did, and it was horrifying. Something out of my worst nightmares.
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much.
Does that pretty much sum him up?
Yeah, pretty much something you'd be very freaked out by. But first, it's that time. I'm going to be doing a lot of reading, so Hagen, 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 Hagen.
Fact.
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 Fact. I knew it. Oceanology. Fact. Right, yeah. Big read time. Strap in. That's my link. I get my images from the Google. I should probably do more in-depth locations of the images like you do. Yours, I feel kind of bad. I'll try in the future. But look, that's him.
Oh.
Don't you love that?
No.
Why?
Why he so big eel?
You know, you're asking all the wrong questions. I was waiting for an answer and never got one.
I apologize.
It's alright, I
What would you
guess.
consider the right questions?
Why am I bumping my table right now?
Why are you?
I was readjusting my legs.
Well, sounds like something you should have done before the episode.
I get too antsy, okay? Leave me alone. I'm going to read now. Special Containment Procedures. The area containing SCP-3000, currently a region of the Bay of Bengal, it's been a while since I've said that word, roughly 300 kilometers in diameter, is to be routinely patrolled by Foundation naval vessels. Under no circumstances are civilians allowed to attempt deep sea exploration or diving efforts in the quarantined area. Individuals believed to have contacted SCP-3000 are to be contained, quarantined, and processed at Site-151. Individuals affected by the anomalous properties of SCP-3000 are to be held in containment indefinitely.
Oh.
Yeah. You'd think it was because he was eating people, but no. He's doing something else.
What the frick?
Yeah. The Foundation submarine SCP-F Aramida is to monitor the location of the foremost section of SCP-3000, currently located within the Ganges fan, roughly 0.7 kilometers beneath the bay. The Aramida is tasked with carrying out the ATZAC protocol. The staffing regulations on board the vessel are subject to the guidelines of that protocol. For a full description of the ATZAC protocol, see Addendum 3000.2. I guess I can go to that right now. ATZAC protocol. So after that, I'll scroll back up. But top secret SCP Foundation official documentation 151 Hollister ATZAC protocol. This protocol dictates certain interactions with a Class 8 cognito-hazardous entity, SCP-3000, and such as Level 5, 3000 classified. 5 to 3000 classified? I think it's kind of hard to... I'm dumb. Anyways,
No.
Preface. The following protocol was developed in conjunction with researchers from Site-29 and Site-50, as well as researchers stationed at Site-151. Some sections may have been redacted to remove material above this classification. Adherence to this protocol is required for all personnel assigned to Site-151, as well as all personnel assigned to the SCP-F Aramida. Abstract. The 151 Hollister ATZAC protocol has been developed and implemented to create a strategy for the management of the Y909 chemical compound excreted by SCP-3000. Protocol information. The Y909 compound, originally discovered by the late Dr. Adam Hollister, is a critical component and several modern and experimental amnestic compounds. Specifically, the following amnestics now contain a refined version of the Y909 compound. It says Class A, Class D, Class E, Class X, Class XX, and then 2 redacted ones, and then ATZAC class experimental compound, Foster class experimental compound, and Eclipse class experimental compound. The inclusion of the Y909 compound has shown a marked increase in the stability and long-term effectiveness of the aforementioned amnestics. Overall, amnestics utilizing Y909 break down 78% slower than their standard counterparts in cold storage, and 52% slower than their standard counterparts at room temperature. Additionally, individuals administered an amnestic regimen utilizing Y909 show a marked increase in suggestibility, memory clearance, and a significant decrease in additional side effects, such as nausea, vomiting, bowel distress, blurred vision, headaches, insomnia, heart damage, and others. Individuals treated with these amnestics express significantly fewer intrusive memories as those without Y909, with some individuals exposed to experimental compounds expressing no intrusive memories whatsoever, even at the 5 and 10 year marks. Due to the effectiveness of these treatments, with the addition of Y909, the continued inclusion of this compound is essential to modern Foundation amnestic application. Reliance on the continued use of Y909 necessitates its collection for the foreseeable future, as a synthetic version of the compound has not yet been discovered. As such, this protocol dictates the way this compound is collected off SCP-3000 and the way personnel are to interact with SCP-3000. Below is a brief framework of the procedure, and detailed information can be found in the full ATZAC brief. I'm not done yet. Members of the MTF Epsilon 20 night fishermen are to prepare a subject for deliverance to the feeding site. One individual D-class subject is to be administered a sedative and equipped with a high-pressure diving suit. The subject is then to be tethered to an underwater ROV within the aft airlock. The airlock is to be flooded. The subject is to be towered by the ROV towards the feeding site. Upon reaching the feeding site, the ROV is to disconnect its tether and return to the Aramida. Throughout this stage, SCP-F Aramida should monitor SCP-3000's position and adjust course if the entity begins to move away from the feeding site. Mission Command will provide additional instructions during this phase if necessary. Personnel on board the SCP-F Aramida are to monitor SCP-3000 during feeding sessions. During this time, no personnel are permitted to leave the Aramida without authorization from Mission Command. At a point after the total consumption of prey, SCP-3000 will begin to excrete Y909 near the foremost section of its body. Specialized teams of deep-sea divers are to exit the SCP-F Aramida through the aft airlock and approach SCP-3000. Collection of the Y909 must take place during SCP-3000's digestive period, which is currently believed to be roughly 2.5 hours after consumption of prey. Teams must return to launch craft before the end of this period. During this period, the typical effects of SCP-3000 are less severe, though Command should continue to monitor these teams for damage to their cognition. After collection of the Y909 is complete, personnel are to transfer collected substance to secure containers before returning to the surface. The mission administrator on board the Aramida is to monitor the substance throughout transport. Alright, now that I've read all of that through, did you understand any of that?
I feel like it's all coming together.
Yeah?
Yeah. I feel like I could probably finish this.
Yeah.
From how confident
To break that down into it explains it for the most part later on, but to break it down for now, basically SCP-3000 is to be fed a D-class personnel.
Yeah.
They feed it people, and while it's digesting said people, it this stuff secretes out of it while it's digesting them, and that stuff, they collect it and use it to make amnestics for other containment procedures for other creatures, or for testing on people and stuff.
Okay.
It makes them more suggestible and, like, kind of dumbed down.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the beginning, back to the containment procedures. There is currently no known cure for exposure to SCP-3000. As such, affected individuals should be contained and quarantined for further evaluation. Individuals stationed aboard the SCP-F Aramida are not permitted to leave the vessel except for the purposes of carrying out the necessary procedures of the ADZAC protocol. Individuals who leave the vessel without proper authorization are to be considered lost. Under no circumstances should any individual interact with SCP-3000 without authorization. Now you get the description, which I think you could have already guessed from the picture, but
Scary.
big scary.
Frightening.
Horrific. SCP-3000 is a massive aquatic serpentine entity strongly resembling a giant moray eel. The full length of SCP-3000 is impossible to determine, but is hypothesized to be between 600 and 900 kilometers. The head of SCP-3000 measures roughly 2.5 meters in diameter, and sections of the body proper are as large as 10 meters in diameter. A pretty big eel boy.
Yeah.
SCP-3000 is typically a sedentary creature, only moving its head in response to certain stimuli or during feeding. The majority of its body is located in and around the Ganges fan and rarely moves at all. SCP-3000 is carnivorous, and despite its sedentary nature, is capable of moving quickly to dispatch prey. Despite its size, it is hypothesized that SCP-3000 does not require sustenance to maintain biological functions. While SCP-3000 excretes a thin layer of a viscous dark gray substance classified as Y909, through its skin as it consumes prey. The end result of its digestive processes is currently unknown. So it's like that weird stuff just like comes out of its skin when it eats people, but it doesn't need to eat people to survive.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, so they're literally just feeding it to collect the Y909 compound. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
SCP-3000 is a Class 8 cognitohazardous entity. Direct observation of SCP-3000 may cause severe mental alterations in viewers. Individuals who directly observe SCP-3000, as well as any individuals within an uncertain distance of SCP-3000, experience inexplicable head pain, paranoia, general fear and panic, and memory loss or alteration. The following is a log from Site-151's historical records written by Dr. Eugene Getz about initial discovery of SCP-3000 and the effects felt therein. And then it's a story. Or kind of, it is an entry. The unease was felt throughout the entire crew as we descended on that first night, whether this was due to our uncertainty at what we would discover, or something more sinister. I would not speculate. As we continued to descend, Williams began sweating profusely. When asked about it, he could not respond, stating that he thought he was missing something he could not deduce. As our descent continued, he began to act more and more erratically, at one point addressing myself as Darlene and expressing uncertainty as to the tasks he was assigned to handle. Similar feelings were expressed by other members of the crew, but Williams felt it the most. His mimetic resistance was by far the lowest of all of us, but he was a biologist, not a mimeticist. When we finally came into contact with the entity, he began whimpering and had to be sedated. I remember him muttering the word "no" over and over again, as if in disbelief. He went silent after a while as we approached its head, and when I looked back at him, something had gone from his eyes. He did not even so much as blink as we made our final descent. At around 0940 hours, we observed the head of the entity. The unease was palpable now. Several other crew members complained of feeling hazy and of being uncertain what they were supposed to be doing. Captain Ritter, ever the man's man, wrote it all off as nitrogen and intoxication and forced them to continue approaching the entity. When we were within 50 meters, the entity turned slowly to look at us. Even now, as I recall watching this thing coil around in the darkness, I can still hear Williams barking like a mad dog in the rear of the vessel, screaming and flailing, shouting about how he could see it in his head. Perkins and Harrison tried to restrain him, but he got free and smashed his face in against one of the portholes. He hit it so hard he cracked the inner layer of glass.
Jeez.
The damage was bad enough that we had to surface. We tried to give Williams medical attention, but he was too far gone at that point. He had pulped himself against the glass, and despite the trauma, he still spoke briefly as he lay dying. Nobody recorded it. We didn't think to at the time, but I remember it well enough. He said, "There's nothing, nothing, nothing." By the time we had reached the surface, several hours later, Williams was dead. At the time, I didn't think much about what he said, just the ravings of a man gone mad by the depths. I figured I didn't know any better. But even now, I can still see the eyes of the creature. I see it hanging there in the darkness, illuminated by a light I cannot source, and I feel the lingering dread that Williams must have felt that night in the submersible, as he was overcome by whatever void that foul thing slithered out of.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, I figured you'd probably guess, but the whole mimetic resistance or whatever he was talking about, it's just kind of like how strong your psyche is or whatever, like kind of if something's trying to mess with your head, how resistant you are to that.
Okay.
It's like kind of how mentally fortuitous your mental fortitude, basically, like how strong you are against things trying to invade your brain.
Gotcha.
Discovery. SCP-3000 was discovered in 1971, shortly after 2 Bangladeshi fishing boats and 15 fishermen were reported missing after drifting near the Indian coast. As the country of Bangladesh had only been recently established at the time, it had been subject to significant political persecution on the part of Pakistan. This incident received high-profile media attention due to fears that it was a result of foreign aggression. Local coastal dispatch units could not locate the missing boats, fueling further media hysteria. Foundation researchers stationed in Calcutta, now Kolkata, drew similarities between this disappearance and other incident 2 years earlier. A thorough search aided by Marriott Pashler counters revealed the location of the 2 boats as well as an unknown, previously undiscovered mass deep below the surface of the Bay of Bengal. Further investigation by Foundation divers discovered the existence of SCP-3000. The area was quickly secured. The current containment procedures were put in place in April of 1972. The ATSAC protocol was adapted in October of 1998. And what do you think so far?
That would be horrifying. Like, they're like, hey, go figure out what that mass is.
Yeah, go figure out what that big thing down there is.
Down, it's just this freaking monster.
Yeah.
It'd be so scary.
You could just feel your brain getting invaded, like your memories changing as the closer you get to it. Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Time for Addendum 3000.1, Initial Contact Exploration Log. The following is the transcript of audio logs taken during the initial deep-sea diver contact with SCP-3000. Until this point, no Foundation diver had come within 300 meters of SCP-3000. Divers were tasked with assessing the creature and determining the source of the thick gray fluid that had been observed floating around its head. Dive team was composed of 3 members of MTF Orion 9 Kingfishers, led by MTF O-9 Alpha. Launch point was through the airlock of the Foundation submarine SCPF Stravinsky. All divers were equipped with high-pressure suits as well as front-facing headlamps. Additionally, a tether was connected to MTF O-9 Alpha, which was then connected in a T-shape out to both Bravo and Foxtrot. Alpha says, "All right, Command, we're situated in the airlock and ready to roll." Command says, "Confirmed, go ahead and sound off." Alpha says, "Alpha 9, check." Bravo says, "Bravo, check." Command, all right, men, we're in position about 500 meters from the head of this creature. Make sure your tethers are on good and tight. We don't want any of you getting separated out there. Bravo says, what's visibility like down here today? Command says, stand by. About 3 meters. Foxtrot says, it's dark as F. Got it. Bravo says, why are we so far out? Command says, I hate saying like command says, Foxtrot says every single time. Command, the size of this thing is hard to comprehend, and it's wrapped up in itself in several places. We can't get too close because there's too much body there. The entity hasn't moved in about 3 weeks. Foxtrot, at all? Command, affirmative. It moves slightly with the currents down there, but nothing more than that. If it weren't for the head movement that was observed by the first submersible team, we probably wouldn't know if it was alive or not. Foxtrot says, that's reassuring. Alpha, all right, tethers are tight, flood the chamber. Command says, confirmed. Rushing water is heard as the airlock chamber floods. No other sound is heard for several minutes. After some time, the sound of rushing water stops. Alpha says, you both good? Bravo says, I'm good. Foxtrot, it's effing cold. Alpha, hopefully we won't be out for long then. Turn on your lights, boys. Here we go. All members of the team exit the airlock. There is a low mechanical sound as the airlock door closes behind them. A muffled click sound is heard, and the Stravinsky activates its aft floodlights. Foxtrot says, hey, Alpha, maybe this is a bad time to ask, but I can't remember how to turn on my lamp, and then Alpha says, your lamp is on, Foxtrot. Foxtrot, it what? What did you call me? Alpha says, your designation, Mulaney, Foxtrot. Bravo said, I'm Foxtrot, boss. Alpha said, hang on, what are you talking about? Foxtrot.
What the heck?
Foxtrot says, I don't understand. What do you mean by designation? Alpha says, it's your gosh dang call sign, Bravo. What do you mean?
So it's already messing with them that bad.
That quickly.
They don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Bravo says, who's Bravo? Alpha says, shoot, hang on. I was going to say something, Barry. Are you still there? Command says, stand by. Go for command. Alpha says, hey, we are having a little trouble out here. I'm not sure who. We seem to have some confusion over designations, and I'm not sure where we're going. That's what Alpha says.
Oh, crap.
Foxtrot says, where exactly are we? Bravo says, gosh, do you guys feel that? I've just got an awful headache. It's like needling in my brain. Something. Command cuts him off and says, dive team, be advised that we believe you may be experiencing some detrimental cognitive effects. Keep moving forward, and we'll give you more information as we receive it.
They're going to keep sending them even
Yeah.
though they don't even know where they are or why they're there?
Even though they don't even know their designations anymore. They don't know which direction they're going.
Oh, my God.
It was like immediate, too.
Yeah.
It's so messed up. Alpha says, noted, command. Be advised that Foxtrot has a terrible headache. I think we are going in the right direction. We can't see out here. Command says, you are roughly 150 meters from the head of the entity, Alpha. You should be getting a visual soon. Bravo says, command, I don't see anything. Where are we? Alpha says, where are we? Command, we're almost there. Alpha, dive team, be advised we're picking up movement from the entity on radar. So now it's moving.
Oh.
Alpha says, Barry, I don't see anything down here. What are we supposed to be looking? And then it gets cut off by Foxtrot saying, all I can see is darkness. There's a chill, foul wind blowing, pushing me towards a brink I can't see. Alpha says, shut up, shut up, shut up. Command, Bravo is unresponsive, requesting immediate cessation of mission. Bravo says, wait a second. Foxtrot says, on the edge of nothingness, inches from oblivion, there's a sickness in my mind that I don't know can't be cured. Beyond me is only blackness, a single pair of dark eyes. Alpha says, what are you saying? Command.
It's like, hey, bro, stop.
What is happening?
Don't do this. How deep are we in this water? And you're out here just talking about gobbledygook.
Is this poetry?
Enough.
For real. It just goes off the rails so fast. Command says, dive team, we're going to pull you back in immediately. We have reason to believe that. And then Alpha cuts him off saying, Barry, is that you? How can it be? I shoveled the dirt during your... And then Bravo cuts him off saying, I can hear something over there. Alpha, you're light. Get your effing... And then Foxtrot says, silence, only silence. My consciousness coming undone and only.
Oh my goodness.
Command says, dive team, something is moving towards you. Repeat, something is moving towards you. Prepare to return to... Alpha says, this is crap. I can't see. How far are we from the... Bravo says, it's right there. F, what are you both doing? F. Foxtrot says, and only the eel remains. The two are like trying so hard to understand. Foxtrot is just like, and only the eel remains.
It's just insane at this point. And only the eel remains. Goodness.
This is radio silence for about 20 seconds. And then Command says, Alpha, radio silence for 13 seconds. Alpha, Bravo, Foxtrot, do any of you hear us? And it says, Bravo says something unintelligible. Command says, oh, thank gosh. Bravo, you need to speak up. We can't. And then Bravo goes, shh.
Ew.
Radio silence for 10 seconds. Command says, something is bound up the winch between you and us. We can't. Alpha says, it's opening its mouth. Bravo says, it's so dark. There's, Foxtrot says, where am I? What?
Now Foxtrot is come back.
Now he's back. Bravo says,
He's
Mulaney.
like, all is eel. Where am I?
Where am I? Bravo says, Mulaney, swim. Get away. There's only darkness. Swim. Foxtrot says, only. There is sudden tension in the tether attached to Stravinsky. O-9 Foxtrot's radio goes silent. There is the sound of a struggle through the other two radios. Command says, Foxtrot, Alpha, Bravo, talk to me, stay calm, what happened? Bravo says, it ate him. He's gone. It took him whole. Gosh dang it, Alpha, what are you doing? And then Alpha says, Alpha? Bravo says, cut the effing gosh dang tether, Alpha. It's pulling us in. Alpha says, who?
I don't think it's...
Bravo says, F.
Dang it.
Alpha, just silence. And then like an and then it says total radio silence for 30 seconds. Tether attached to Stravinsky is pulled free from its moorings and disappears.
It just slurped it up like a noodle.
It did. Man says, Alpha, Bravo, do you copy? Radio silence for 5 seconds. Alpha, Bravo, do you copy? Bravo, this is Bravo. I'm floating in the dark. I can see shapes moving through the fog, but they're hard to make out. I cut my tether. Alpha wouldn't. I think he's gone. I don't see his light anymore. Command says, acknowledged. We're coming to... Then Bravo says, hang on. Just let me think for a second. Cognition. This thing. It doesn't work around it. Your brain can't form thought. It hurts. It's like dying. And then Command says, Bravo, do you have eyes on the entity? He says, it's in my head, guys. Coiled up in there like a snake. And something about it is caustic. I can see it just in front of me. It's not doing anything. It isn't moving. Just hanging there with its mouth open. I think it's finished eating. That fluid is seeping through its skin around its head. About a meter back. Just looking at the stuff is making me... Like the room is spinning. I feel nauseous. My head isn't working right. And then he starts laughing. There's an abortion under the floorboards and another in the... Wait, this is wrong. That wasn't me. Who said that?
Excuse me?
I'm going to collect a sample. Hang on. It's like he's like bouncing back and forth between two headspaces. Command says, Bravo, we're going to send a crew out to get you. Just hold on. Bravo says, oh no, don't do that. You have to be trained to not feel the things I'm feeling, otherwise it will get you into you. Maybe it will anyways, who knows? It feels like the end of the world down here. Fellas, my heart is really going off the charts, and I think I'm dying. I got a sample. I'll attach it to one of those little balloons and let it float up. You'll be able to get it later. Don't spend too much time around that stuff. It doesn't, your mind, and then you just hear heavy breathing. Command says, Bravo. He says, I think I'm dying. I'm dying. I know I'm dying. This is it. I just want to get away from here, you know? It occurs to me. And he laughs again. Don't send anyone else out here. It's so dark. And then Command says, Bravo. And that's the end of that.
That was devastating.
Yeah. Over the next half hour, the SCP-F Stravinsky attempted to approach 09 Bravo with no success. Command continued to attempt to communicate with 09 Bravo, but Bravo grew increasingly unintelligible before eventually going completely silent. Bravo's radio stayed active over the next 3 days, and intermittent breathing could be heard in the radio until the radio ceased functioning. He was down there for 3 days.
Oh.
And then it covers the ATZAC protocol, which I already read. And then Addendum 3... Here, before I do that, how are you feeling now?
Not good. Not good at all.
Yeah.
It was so sad. All of them just like losing. Foxtrot just isn't there the whole time until he's about to be eaten.
And then he snaps back, yeah.
Yeah, like that was awful. And that Bravo's just chilling out there for 3 days. That's a nightmare.
Until it just stopped, until his radio died.
What I don't like is that it doesn't have to eat.
But it does.
And so it just ate for funsies?
It just ate, yeah, pretty much. Just ate because it could, I guess.
I mean, I'll never judge someone or something for eating because they're bored. But what the frick?
Hey, man, if you were stuck down there in the middle of just pure darkness...
It's at least something to do.
Yeah, at least something. I'm going to eat that guy. Why not?
Valid.
Yeah, I'm going to eat that guy, too. That's how it sounded, too.
Yeah, just like that.
Yep, slurped it like a noodle.
Schlorp.
Slurp. All right. Addendum 3000.3, Psychological Evaluation. On blank blank of 09, Level 3 researcher Venkatraman Krishnamurthy attempted to exit out the Aramida's aft airlock without diving equipment, but was quickly restrained and the airlock cycle aborted, despite having a CRV of 26 and having not displayed any previous signs of depression or suicidal attempt. Prior to his assignment aboard the Aramida, Krishnamurthy was interviewed by staff clinical psychologist Dr. Anand Manava to acquire a better understanding of SCP-3000's potential effect on his psyche. That's kind of random. I feel like that doesn't really match any of the other stuff we read, but I guess it just makes sense. On board the ship nearby, one of the people just went crazy and tried to leave without any diving equipment.
Yeah.
But they captured him and then were like evaluating him. This is the beginning of that log. Manava says, I'm not saying these names. I'm just going to say M for Manava and K for Krishnamurthy.
Deal.
M says, hey, hi Venkat, how are you feeling? K says, unwell. M says, that's what I hear. Do you want to talk about what happened today? K is silent. M says, we don't have to if you don't want to. We can talk about something else. K says, I'm tired. Anand. M says, I understand. This assignment has been stressful on all of. And then K says, it's not. No, it isn't the stress. I've done this before. I've been on. I don't actually know if I've done this before. M says, You have. K says, I don't remember it, any of it. I've been getting these out of context feelings, like my body reacting to reflexes I didn't know it had. Everything is so disconnected, and trying to keep it together I'm just tired. M says, when did you start feeling this way? K said, how long have we been down here? I don't remember. I don't know when. I honestly don't. I wish I could tell you more than that, but I have nothing. I look at that place in my mind and there's something else there. Or sometimes nothing at all. M says, what do you mean, something else? K says, I've been having other people's dreams, Anand. I see faces I don't recognize, places I know I've never been. Or maybe I have. I don't know. How can I know what is real or not? when I can't trust my own mind. M says, well, maybe I can help you with that, Venkat. We can go over things you think you've forgotten, and I can. Kay says, don't patronize me. I know you've felt it, Anand. Your mind gets hazy. Parts of you start to slip. Your memories grow faint, fading in and out until they're gone, or worse, replaced. You see pasts that aren't yours, experiences that you never lived. You start to become other people or nobody at all. M says, Venkat, please, I'm just trying to help. Kay says, Do you even know my work? Do you even know my work before we met? Come to think of it, I don't even remember how we met. I know your name. I know that you're a psychologist, but are we friends? Are we brothers? I don't know how I know you. We work together. I know that. I still have that, but other things? They come and go. I don't know if I am married or have children. M says, I see. Kay goes on to say, and that isn't the worst of it. I know this is happening to me. I know my mind is coming apart, but there's something else in there too. Something rising out of the smoke of my smoldering consciousness. That eel. The eel? I don't remember my mother. I can hear her voice, but I can't remember her face. I can't remember how she smelled or how she. But what I do remember is she told me about gods. There is a god called Anantashisha, a serpent, the king of serpents, said to lie beneath Vishnu in the cosmos, a six-headed snake god. Isn't that something? M says, yes, I am familiar. K says, of course, I'm sorry. I forgot. I don't remember much, but I do remember she told me about how Anantashisha would linger past the end, gaze upon the darkness past the end of time. She said that when the light of the universe had gone out, all that would be left is Anantashisha. I have worked my entire life for the Foundation, so much as I can recall. I have struggled to build my name and my reputation, and done everything I can to leave something, anything, some kind of mark that says I was here. But M says, what is it? K says, I believe that SCP-3000 is Anantashisha. I believe that this aberration, this treachery against cognition is the result of us being in the presence of a god. Not just a god, but a god who exists across all time, all at once, and even beyond. Maybe some part of the nothingness beyond the edge of time is part of Anantashisha as well. Maybe it acts as a conduit, some kind of. And then M says, Venkat, please, we're scientists. And then K says, no, let me finish. In defiance of the nothingness that comes after this, all of this, there's Anantashisha. There is a chance that my memories might live on, that I might be remembered like the memories I've seen have been through me. I don't have proof of this, but when I looked into its eyes and saw what it showed me, I was afraid. I'm merely a mediocre man, Anand. This was a fear that I have refused to acknowledge for years, the fear of irrelevance, that no one will know who I am when I die. Afraid of being forgotten, afraid of my life being meaningless, afraid of being alone, afraid of dying. There is a terror within me that I cannot reconcile, Anand. I won't lie to you and tell you that it's the Maw of the Naga. I won't lie to you and tell you that the Maw of the Naga does not terrify me as well. But between us and the infinite dark I have gazed into, I have made up my mind. That's the end of the log.
What the heck?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the next picture. There's another one.
That is a heckin' lengthy boy.
That is a heckin' lengthy boy. This gets crazy, huh?
Yeah.
I'm going to get a drink of my drink real fast.
Because do you think that the voices that they're hearing are from the people it's consumed?
I believe, yes, that everyone it's eaten or affected, it's like jumbled their consciousness with other people's consciousnesses. Like it just kind of mix and matches them. That's my thought.
Ew.
Pretty crazy. This dude thinks it's a serpent god.
Yeah.
Let's see. Addendum 3000.4 Incident Video and Audio Log. After 2 days of containment within a secure holding cell on board the Aramida, orders were received to lift the hold on Dr. Krishnamurthy in accordance to the terms of the ADZAC protocol. 3 hours after Dr. Krishnamurthy was released from his holding cell, the following incident took place. At 2:19, Krishnamurthy stands near the entrance to the Aramida's aft airlock. Subject is facing away from the nearest camera. Proximity alarm is triggered. Exterior floodlights activate. SCP-3000 is still not visible. Command is alerted and Aramida's engines engage, preparing for evasive maneuvers. At 2:20, Krishnamurthy is startled by proximity alarm and begins to appear panicked. Subject continues to look at the entrance to the aft airlock. Subject turns briefly towards the nearest camera and is observed to be weeping. Krishnamurthy slowly approaches the aft airlock and opens the airlock door. Subject enters the airlock and primary access door seals behind the subject. Interior airlock camera captures Krishnamurthy staring at the exterior airlock door for a full 2 minutes, unmoving. After 2 minutes, subject collapses on the ground. All cameras shudder as primary turbines spin up. SCP-3000 is visible on radar. Approaching SCP-F Aramida. SCP-3000 is not visible on exterior cameras. At 2:26, Krishnamurthy stands and approaches diving suit locker. Subject puts on a high-pressure deep sea diving suit and then moves towards exterior door controls. Subject engages exterior door latch. Interior airlock camera is obscured by rushing water. At 2:27, secondary alarm is triggered by airlock breach. Personnel on the bridge attempt to close airlock, but Krishnamurthy has already exited the airlock. Krishnamurthy hangs in the water behind the aft section of the Aramida, illuminated by exterior floodlights. Subject is motionless. At 2:28, Subject 3000 slowly appears out from the darkness. Krishnamurthy remains motionless. Exterior camera shudder as Aramida begins to reverse towards Krishnamurthy. Rescue teams have assembled in the airlock chamber. SCP-3000 approaches Krishnamurthy. Its mouth begins to open. Aramida sounds its horns, but neither SCP-3000 or Subject appear to notice. At 2:29, Subject 3000 moves to just above Krishnamurthy. Subject appears to look up into the now fully expanded jaw of SCP-3000. Aramida begins to flash external floodlights. Airlock opens. Krishnamurthy says, "Anand, I was wrong. God save me. It's not." And then it cuts off as SCP-3000 strikes and quickly consumes Krishnamurthy.
Oh.
SCP-3000 disappears into the darkness and is no longer visible on exterior cameras. Rescue crews are recalled and crew begins to initiate ATZAC protocol. End log. Sorry, I kind of stuttered at the end there.
Oh, you're good.
Basically, he walked himself out of the airlock while something was happening, floated out into the nothingness, and waited for the eel to eat him. But just as it was about to eat him, he says, "I was wrong. God save me. It's not." And then it ate him.
Jeez.
Yep. Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
This eel guy is not a good guy.
This eel guy's not a very nice dude.
No.
Oh, there's more. I hope you're ready for more. It just keeps going. I love this one because there's a lot to it. Addendum 3000.5 Personal Journal of Dr. Manava. Note, the following are excerpts from the personal diaries of Dr. Anand Manava. Dr. Manava has kept several journals during this assignment and has reported that it is beneficial to counteract the psychological and memory affecting properties of SCP-3000. So, yeah, this is the doctor that was evaluating the dude who just killed himself.
Okay.
These are his personal logs.
Okay.
I come to Barry Venkot, not to praise him. Psychologically speaking, this was on 23/09/2009. Yeah, so it's got the date before the month. It's one of those places.
Oh, gotcha.
One of those places.
One of those.
Psychologically speaking, having your memories affected like this is not a pleasant experience for anyone. I really shouldn't be surprised he chose to relieve himself from having his memories meddled with. After all, it's really alarming. Being briefed on its effects doesn't change the fact that I need to constantly keep tabs on all staff, myself included, and ground us to reality. I'm supposed to submit a full psychological report now, detailing what has gone wrong, why a staff member turned suicidal, and a full analysis of possible ways to prevent this from happening again in the future. To the O5 and site director Knox, have it to them have it reviewed and some new regimen designed to prevent such a travesty from happening again. He always was more religious than I am. Right at the end of his life, he was rifling on Anantashisha, a primordial Hindu snake god, and rambling about eternity. I'm not going to question the legitimacy of his beliefs and claims, but this is quite the enigma, and I suppose I should...
Except he said he was wrong.
Yeah, he
as
literally
he was
said,
being
I
consumed.
was wrong. Yeah, that's fair. I think he just realized, nope, this is just an eel that's been messing with my head. It purposefully made me do this so then it could eat something. But this is quite the enigma, and I suppose I should consider myself lucky that this assignment is relatively benign compared to previous assignments that I've had. I don't think this is a mystical eel anomalous, maybe, but not really that extraordinary. It's funny, I spent the last 30 years blocking out everything my father wanted to teach me about Hinduism, and now I'm racking my brains trying to remember anything he had to say about it. I want to say that it's because of the eel, but if I'm being honest with myself, I simply tried to forget all his teachings. Maybe not at the beginning, but certainly by the end. I can barely even remember what he looked like. But I do remember how angry he got when I couldn't remember the names of my grandparents or great uncles. He was desperate to preserve his it has the word culture, but he scratched it out and said heritage. And I did everything I could to spite him. On his deathbed, he begged me to perform the traditional last rites after his death. He even wrote the instructions down. But I was so angry with him that I tore them up in front of him. I can't even remember why. The only memories I have of him now are how he made me feel. He spent almost 20 years trying to pass down our heritage, and all I have now is anger, hatred, and regret. And then, 7 days later, Site Director Knox gathered the staff this morning for a short morning. After a few brief and laconic eulogies, he took me aside and told me that Venkat's replacement will come in a few weeks, and as he kept no contact with his family, it's likely his belongings will be disposed of. Dang, that's sad. And are now technically Foundation property. The director indicated that if I want to keep a thing or two from him, I should do so now. His office was relatively unremarkable. His cushy squash chair cushion, a few office toys, and lots of marine biology books that I should probably check out someday. The only thing I took was a statue of Ganesh that stood next to the window. Not fully sure why myself, but he's now sitting on the bookshelf next to the picture of myself, my wife, and our daughter at the lakeside terrace. It was a pretty unremarkable trip to some tourist trap in Lucknow, but this really is one of our best looking pictures. We are going under again tomorrow. And then this is 11/11/2009, so November 11th. So what?
So 2 months
2
later?
months later, yeah. All of the D class managed to stay put this week, which is good. Other than the routine depression and memory loss from exposure to SCP-3000, everything was in order. Sometimes I'm a bit envious of them. All they know is that they're scooping gunk off some big eel. They don't know of its importance, or why it's critical that they collect it, and how much it helps us. Of course, one saving grace of being on the psychological division for the ATZAC project is the awareness of its potential effects. I'm aware of what's happening to my psyche. I know that I have memories that are being drained, pieces that are being lost right now. I recall images of a young man on a bicycle, in front of a schoolyard gate, looking like it was the 80s. When I was in Singapore, he was laughing. Yeah, I don't know if this man was a friend, a lover, a son, a family friend, who this man is. Perhaps Italian, or maybe Australian. Maybe this isn't even a cherished memory at all. I looked at the Ganesh statue and the picture of my family again. It's really quite a shame. I truly forgot most anything that I've done with them. I've started trying to learn some Hindu poems and songs. Went out, got a copy of the Vedas, but I can't memorize the lines properly. I've been reflecting on what Venkat told me before he passed, though. His deep-seated fear of mediocrity. Unable to rise out of the sea of humans that walk the face of this earth, he worked for the Foundation for years, and while he isn't one of the most well-known and household names of the Foundation, he's not exactly obscure. He's been the Foundation's leading marine biologist and go-to expert for anything aquatic and quite well revered. I'm actually quite surprised by his jealousy. He was never the flashy and bombastic type, and I would have never guessed that he wanted fame and recognition. Perhaps he really was afraid that he was doomed to be stuck in mediocrity. Perhaps the silence of this place reminded him of something worse. That's the end of those logs.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then we have addendum 3000.6. Memorandum on ATZAC brief level 3000 or 3000 classified. Some new assignments had questions about our work here, so I'm publishing this to clear most of them up. Feel free to contact my office if there are any others. The ATZAC protocol is a method for gathering and processing the Y909 compound. It's a thick brackish gray fluid that SCP-3000 excretes as part of its metabolism. We don't know the exact method by which it does this, but we have some ideas, and none of them are great for us. Initially, we thought it was bleeding. The first team we sent down to look at SCP-3000 went down to collect blood samples for analysis. When SCP-3000 attacked and consumed them and began producing more of the substance, we realized that we were looking at something different entirely. It's definitely not blood. It's more akin to a prion slurry. It's extremely toxic, and spending too much time around the stuff causes a lot of the same effects as exposure to SCP-3000 does. Paranoia, memory loss, suicidal thoughts, etc. Refining the raw Y909, what the processors call eel jelly, allows us to create amnestics more effective than any we have ever had access to in the history of this organization. Herein lies the ethical dilemma. SCP-3000 only creates Y909 after eating, and it only eats humans. However, when we said we had some ideas about how it does this, some of our biologists hypothesized that SCP-3000 is breaking down whatever makes sapient creatures sapient, filtering it through some part of its skin, and the residual ether is what we collect. You want to know something really effed up? We've taken radiographs of this thing, trying to see what's going on inside of it. It's full of dead human bodies. It's not digesting them at all. It's doing something else, and the end result is Y909.
Excuse me?
It's just full of everything it's eaten. Like, they don't go away. They don't digest. I knew that was coming up, and I tried not to say anything the whole time. I'm like, it doesn't actually digest anything.
That's horrifying.
It is. Yeah, did you like what it produces is just how did they say it?
It's prion.
A prion slurry.
It's horrifying.
It's disgusting. When we first started using Y909 in our amnestics program, we tried to synthesize it. We got something close to what we were looking for, Y919, but the side effects were catastrophic. The amnestics would work. We could get people to forget events, people, and so on, but then they would start to forget other things too. The mental deterioration would rapidly increase until there was nothing left, and they would die. A few of those researchers thought we might be able to figure out how to decrease the severity of those side effects, but the cost to continue those trials would have been astronomical, and the program was discontinued. crap, I turned my phone. It's no secret that what we're doing here is abhorrent. The ethics committee, the classification committee, they're all looking at ways to make this more tolerable than what it is. But the hard truth is, if we want to continue to use modern amnestics, we have to have Y909. If we want to have Y909, we have to feed D-Class to SCP-3000. Otherwise, we'd be forced to go back to the metaphorical Dark Ages, where we were amneticizing people with opiates and chloroform. The good news is, we're developing ROVs that should be able to take over the job of collecting the raw material from our dive teams. This will eliminate any chance of accidental casualties like we've had in the past, and it's a good first step. For everything else, only time will tell. Knox. So Director Knox was the one who wrote that.
I like that they even recognize that what they're doing is messed up, but they're like, well...
It's really messed up.
It's for the betterment.
But it's very efficient.
Yeah, like what we're doing.
Ethics, schmethics.
Who needs those?
Mm-hmm. They're just people.
Yeah.
They're just sentient living things.
It's fine.
It's fine. Alright, just Addendum 3000.7, Personal Journal of Dr. Manava. The following is the full text of a page penned in the hand of Dr. Manava. So once again, the psychological evaluation guy, the one he has to keep all of. He's the one who evaluated the dude who killed himself. He was the one that had the other really long one about Hinduism and his beliefs and how he hated his father.
Okay.
Let's see. It was penned in the hand of Dr. Manava, which was ripped out of a journal and placed on his nightstand. Undated. I have spent a considerable amount of time on this assessment attempting to understand the underlying effects of individuals exposed to Class 8 cognitohazard. I have conducted numerous personnel interviews, written a great many psychological reports, but I have not been able to properly deduce what about this creature would lead a perfectly sane man out of the door of that airlock and into the maw of the eel. Earlier this week, I was preparing my notes for another report. I accidentally knocked the picture of myself, my wife, and daughter off my nightstand. The glass shattered as it hit the ground and the picture fell out. I cleaned it up and noticed something written on the reverse of the image. It said, Anand, Shanti, and Padma, June 2002. But the writing was not mine. It was Venkat's. But basically, he knocked it off, and the picture was of the guy who killed himself and his wife and daughter, not the doctor.
His own family.
Yeah, it was of Anand, Venki Anand or whatever his name. But he thought it was a picture of him with his wife and daughter.
Uh-oh.
But the writing was not mine. It was Venkat's. That's what it was, Venkat. I was puzzled by this. Why would Venkat have written on the back of a picture of mine? I thought little of it at the time and cleaned up the mess and went about my day. But this question stuck with me. It was a little thing, easily explained in a number of ways, but I could not seem to shake the notion of uncertainty. It was not until last night that a horrifying thought struck me. One that I could not sleep on. I assessed the Foundation personal archives and realized the truth that I cannot reconcile. Shanti was Venkat's first wife. Padma was his daughter. Records are clear. The life I remember, the experiences I am certain I have had with them, are the experiences and memories of Venkat, not me. I have never been married, and I have no children. Even now I can see my wife in my mind and hear our daughter. Smell her hair, but I know now that it is Venkat I see her through, not me. The horror of this realization has been replaced with a queer sort of dread. I figured out what the eel does, something about it, some latent part of its creation, abhors cognition. It breaks down human consciousness and scatters the part of us that we believe is a soul until all that remains is what we really are, electrical signals that will someday become inert.
Jeez.
If even I can't remember myself, how can I expect anyone else to remember me? I have forgotten my own life. And I am strangely apathetic at this revelation. I will fade into darkness, as thousands before me have, and thousands after me will. No one will care as I am forgotten. I do not despair for my own sake, but for us all, you and I, we will all face obliteration. I am not important. You are not important. Vast droplets of irrelevancy stretching eons in the sea of time. We may fight against it, but our enemy is inevitability. I do not think that the eel is Anantashisha. I don't think it would matter if it was. What is clear to me now, as I feel myself coming apart, is not that the eel is some mythical creature, a divine serpent. Perhaps it's just a primitive creature that eluded us, holding no malice. Perhaps it really is a primordial deity, harboring resent beneath the surface. The eel is not the harbinger of my demise or humanity's doom. The eel is not the end of all things. It only shows us what the end looks like. And in spite of everything we might believe, every ideal we hold or providence we pray for, I know this much is true for all of us. Our end will be a forgotten one.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, Dr. Manava.
Okay, thanks, man.
You're supposed to be a psychiatrist or whatever, but okay.
Alright, it's fine.
You're just doing the opposite of your job. It says, note, Dr. Manava was later discovered unresponsive near the aft airlock. Evidence suggests that Dr. Manava had broken into the onboard storage locker and ingested a significant amount of raw Y909. Dr. Manava was moved off the Arameda and remains at Site 151 for analysis. So he broke into a locker and ate a bunch of eel jelly and then just kind of passed out on the floor and hasn't woken up.
Perfect.
Yep. But yep, that's the end of SCP-3000. How'd that make you feel?
That was insane.
Right?
Like, this one's just crazy.
It's a lot more to take in than all of the other ones have been. Pretty nuts, huh?
Yeah. I didn't like that.
Hey, get out of there, thing. Oh, there you go.
Oh, woo.
That was almost a problem. I thought I'd have to just
Woo.
throw the whole episode away and we'd have to do it again.
That's literally what we're gonna have to do.
Yeah. Alright. End it. But yeah, what your final thoughts?
I feel like I really like the SCPs, but my problem is I want the explanation of everything.
And they just don't ever give it.
Yes, and you never get the explanation for them.
Yeah, no, it's just, it could be, is it a Hindu serpent god? Or is it just a giant eel? Who knows?
Yeah.
This guy doesn't.
Yeah.
He's like, well.
I don't know either.
Either way, whether it is or isn't, we don't matter, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, does it matter which one it is?
Because either way, it's still screwing with everyone's heads and eating people. Yeah.
Goodness.
I really wanted to cover this one because it was just a whole lot to digest.
Yeah.
But I bit off more than I could chew reading that much.
I thought it was good.
Thank you. Well, yeah, let us know your thoughts and opinions. Unless they're bad ones, then don't. I can't handle it. I'm weak-willed. But, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye!